I'm Ashton Addison from BlockWest Capital for Investment Pitch Media, and today on the Crypto Coin Show we have Dominic Williams, the founder and Chief Scientist of Dfinity and the Internet Computer. Dominic, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you for having me, Ashton.
You're very welcome. I've been following the Internet Computer for a few years now since the launch, and I'm really excited. I think 2023 is going to be a huge year for the network, and the market's already turning around and the positive sentiment is coming back, and I think that all of the hard work done throughout the last few years is going to pay off in terms of user adoption, real-world adoption, things like that. And I'm excited to learn more about what your team's been working on and how that's going to bleed into the real world outside of Web3. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. I would love to kick off our conversation by just hearing a little bit about, a high level of what is the Internet Computer and Dfinity from those who aren't familiar, and then we'll dive into all the details.
The Internet Computer is an evolution of blockchain. Arguably, it's the third generation blockchain. I was brought into the industry by Bitcoin. Started working full time in crypto in 2013. By 2014, I was researching how to make blockchains faster using something called traditional Byzantine fault-tolerant consensus math, and devised a cryptocurrency design called Pebble. It was the first cryptocurrency design that was scalable and would run much faster. I didn't actually pursue that project, and I'd got involved with the early Ethereum community, and I'd heard this idea of a world computer, and back then, 2014 and early 2015. We were coming to terms with this idea that a blockchain, in addition to hosting, tokens, could also host code and data, which would enable you to build arbitrary things.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, Dfinity was concerned with trying to develop science and techniques which might support an Ethereum 2.0 that could be a world computer, at least according to our vision of a world computer. In the end, it was realized that what we were trying to do was far too ambitious to be with the kind of timelines involved with Ethereum at the time, and it would need to be a separate project, and would probably involve many years of R&D and a very large team of cryptographers and computer science and engineers and so on. So eventually, that's what happened. Dfinity became a real thing, I suppose, beyond just research. In 2016, Foundation was created end of 2016, October 2016. Ran a public ICO February 2017, raised initial funds. Not much, but it was primarily raised in Bitcoin, and that went up. So we used that as a springboard, raised more money in 2018. And slowly built up what became crypto's biggest R&D operation. I think we employ more cryptographers than pretty much any organization. And here in Switzerland, we're the biggest employer of ex-Google research people. Zurich's got the second biggest Google campus outside of Mountain View. And we delivered on what we set out to do, which is create a blockchain that's infinitely scalable, runs with efficiency comparable to traditional IT. So that means if you actually build something with blockchain code, often called smart contracts, runs with similar efficiency to code running on traditional tech. These smart contracts have greatly improved capabilities. They can store and process vast amounts of data. They can process HTTP requests, serve web experiences directly and securely into the web browsers of the end users of Web3 services. And we've been advancing as well, using the fact that we have the capability to develop novel cryptography, which is pretty unique. We've been sort of advancing other directions too. One is, trustless multi-chain. So blockchain code on the internet computer can create signed transactions that run on other blockchains without having a private key. It's a bit of a mind-bending one, right? Because the chain itself is actually signing the transactions that run on other blockchains. And also, progressing in other areas, trying to realize this Web3 vision. You can have something like a social network. Social network like Facebook, running in decentralized form without a company, running under the control of a community DAO. And that's actually a much bigger challenge than you might think. I mean, the first thing you have to solve is enabling, a smart social network like Facebook to be built with smart contracts, right? So, I mean, I don't know how many of you we've found there's a lot of misunderstandings, in the blockchain community about what's actually happening in Web3. But sometimes we, use misleading language. So, you'll hear people say, Web3 service is built on blockchain XYZ, and they don't mean. And so people get the impression this is completely normal. But it's not. Today, when outside of the internet computer blockchain ecosystem, when you hear someone saying they built this Web3 service on blockchain XYZ, they don't really mean they built it on blockchain XYZ. What they mean is they built it on Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, something like that. And that's where the user experience is being served from. That's where all the data lives. That's where all the data processing thing happens. And the service is just, really keeping some tokens and like NFTs and tiny clips of data on the blockchain. And, that there's lots of reasons for that. The only blockchain where smart contracts can actually, serve web experiences is the internet computer. Other can't do that. So you have to introduce some kind of centralized cloud or some other centralized tech in order to serve the user experience minimally. In addition to that, just the cost of storing data and processing it is so high. It's just not practical to build Web3 services on chain. And the challenge that presents is that if you can't build your Web3 service on chain, you can't place it under the control of a community DAO, right? Because a DAO can only update blockchain code, smart contracts, whatever you want to call it, that are running on chain, right? A DAO, can't reach into Amazon Web Services and configure software systems there. And even if it could, even if it were possible, it wouldn't really make any sense because, if you run stuff in the cloud, like, there's somebody who's put their credit card into the Amazon Web Server, and they'll switch it off if they wish and make all that data disappear, make the system, the service disappear. They can even arbitrarily modify the data and do things like that. So, I think the first achievement of the Internet Computer Project, in its this World Computer Vision, was creating a blockchain that ran with efficiency that's tens of thousands of times better actually than the best proof of stake chain in existence. It's like a proof of useful work. The internet computer runs on a dedicated sovereign network of hardware, these things called node machines, it scales limitlessly, runs with incredible efficiency. Smart contracts can serve, process HTTP requests and serve user experiences directly into web browsers, and a bunch of things. And now it's sort of, so I think, we really have already delivered the World Computer Vision in the sense that we created, an advanced blockchain that can, for most applications, take the place of the traditional centralized IT stack, which is a really big deal. And, we believe in this thing called blockchain singularity, where eventually all systems and services run on World Computer Blockchain, right? We're tamper-proof and unstoppable. They can be tokenized and things like that. But the missing piece, there are some missing pieces for us. One has been multi-chain, that we feel that code running on, blockchain code running on a world computer should be multi-chain and should be able to trustlessly interoperate without bridges, and so that's just coming online now. That took us a long time. And in addition to that, right now, today, people are already building mass market Web3 services that run 100% on the blockchain. There are quite a large number of them. There's even people doing things like video streaming from the blockchain. However, today, those Web3 services do not run under the full control of a community DAO. And the reason for that is it's actually pretty complicated, a pretty complicated thing to do. I think a lot of the things we call DAOs today are, just far too simple and not up to the task, right? You can go onto like ApeCoin or something like that, and it's just like people post a text file. It's more of a social construct, right? People post a text file with a proposal, and then people vote on it, right? And the idea is that everyone agrees, the devs go away and implement the instruction or something. But we want to, run these services, these Web3 services, in a fully decentralized way, in which the DAOs have control over them, and all updates to the smart contracts, the blockchain code behind these services, and all configurations and so on, actually pass through the community DAO. And there's just no point in centralized control, and there's no one either that identified as a controller. There's no Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. And that is another thing that has been a long path, but that's just beginning to come online now.
Wow. Great intro, Dominic. And I think you really laid out, sort of the foundation to start. Obviously, there's a lot of issues with mainstream adoption of decentralized applications when the infrastructure is really on Web 2 or using Amazon Web Services, and it's a blockchain project, but they're not really actually running a decentralized network. And then once that's actually set up to actually have the governance and the growth of the platform in a decentralized way, I feel like we're really in the infancy of DAOs and rebuilding companies to become actual internet organizations and decentralized autonomous organizations. And you're right, we've seen DAOs that became popular in the last couple of years. They weren't really fully decentralized at all. And I feel like that's a huge gap that needs to be filled. So I'm looking forward to seeing more actual dApps, and like, for example, I was looking through the Dfinity, some of the dApps that have been launched, and it looks like there's quite a variety of different industries and use cases of things that are already launched on the internet computer, with like social media and different things like that. Which I think are great, things outside of DeFi, but also inside of DeFi, to revolutionize these different industries. But to actually run them in a way that is decentralized and using a DAO format, I feel like there's some trial and error that needs to be done there. Maybe you can talk a little bit about, the actual application launching now that it is on an actual internet computer, world computer, in a decentralized way, making it easy for people to actually create or start and incubate decentralized applications, then launch them into the network, and then sort of grow from there. How is the internet computer sort of making it easy to lower the barriers to entry for the development of these great innovations?
Actually, I think that's a really, really good question, and it addresses something that's very close to, which is really about the purpose of blockchain. Like, what is the purpose of blockchain? And my answer is that, beyond just the general idea of like, better decentralized computer infrastructure that's, tampered unstoppable and all that kind of stuff. And we do believe in the end everything will be built on blockchain. But with respect to Web3 and even DeFi, I think a really core purpose is to make people more industrious, right? And a blockchain is a kind of economy in code. We've got very specific ideas on how that should happen. As is typical with us, they tend to be quite technical and take a long time to deliver, but we do get there in the end. And, look, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm what you call an engineer entrepreneur, so I'm very technical. And, I first started coding cryptography in sort of 1998, 1999, created like a text-based certificate system on using Diffie-Hellman and Blowfish of all things. Yeah, and it was, this thing, Crypto++ library, by this guy called Wei Dai, who wrote the B-Money paper, which is one of the inputs into Bitcoin and so on. So I've sort of, seen, and I've seen a lot of things as an entrepreneur. Now, I relocated to Zurich in June 21. But before that, I was in Silicon Valley for more than 10 years. I lived in a place called Palo Alto, which is just a stone's throw from all the VCs on Sand Hill Road. I was next to Stanford University, Facebook and Google and all those kind of big players. And I moved. I moved over there because I had a computer game, like a massively multiplayer online MMO computer game. I grew about 3 million users, and I got funding in the States. And I couldn't really get funding in the UK very easily, and that's why I ended up moving to Silicon Valley as an entrepreneur. And London is a far better place to raise money than many places in Europe, and Europe's a far better place to raise money than other places in the world, right? So I know how hard it can be. I've been an entrepreneur for many years, and so I really believe in crowdfunding, and I really believe that we need to democratize access to the tech economy, not for developers and entrepreneurs, but also for users. And I think Web3 should be about making everyone more industrious. So there's a thing called the service nervous system, which is like an advanced form of DAO. Uses the same technology as a thing called the network nervous system, which is this DAO that actually fully controls the internet computer blockchain. So this is well-tested technology. The traditional blockchain, there's a sort of cabal of outsiders, either working at a foundation or more commonly now a company, and they coordinate the people running mining software or proof-of-stake validators in upgrading the protocol in a sort of process of hard and soft forks, and we felt that was too centralized, and it was also very cumbersome, and we wanted to be able to push the internet computer, push the internet computer forward faster. And so one of the big innovations of the internet computer is that the whole network runs under the control of this sort of super advanced DAO called the network nervous system that's integrated with the protocols that create the blockchain. And this DAO does many things. There's probably like 10 plus different kinds of proposal. And when these proposals are adopted by this DAO, they're automatically executed. And in fact, it's already executed hundreds of proposals. And they do like configuring the network internally. It has these subnet blockchains which enable it to scale out. It creates and updates those. And also, of course, when someone pushes in an update to the protocol, it actually installs the software on the node machines that run the network. So it's not a proof of stake network. It's something called proof of useful work, and it runs on these dedicated devices called node machines. And that's been an absolutely huge success. It's enabled the internet computer to be updated regularly and evolve rapidly. It's what we call an adaptive blockchain. So we decided that we take this proven technology, and look, if it can securely run and update an entire blockchain, it can do the same for a service, a fully decentralized service running on the, and adapt it. So the idea is that if you're a bunch of developers and you've created something like a chat service, I shouldn't always mention OpenChat, but I help bring the team together. That's what I always do. There's actually a service called OpenChat that runs on the computer, and it's very cool. Every chat message is a transaction, right? Like a Bitcoin transaction. That's the crazy thing, and it's stored on the blockchain. Even little video messages and images, those are transactions, and they're stored on the blockchain. And that's of course why the internet computer has so many transactions going on every day. I mean, it's about half a billion transactions a day at the moment, but before Christmas, when people were a bit busier, it got up to almost 750 billion. So the reason, of course, is these are being created by these kind of social media Web3 services. Okay, so you take something like OpenChat, which is a very complicated service, and not only is it a complex service, which is one challenge. OpenChat also makes chat profiles crypto wallets, right? So at the moment, you can send ICP with chat messages. In the future, because of this thing called chain key, which I mentioned coming online, you'll be able to send any crypto asset with messages. There's a security dimension to it. If these developers, there's a small team of developers behind it, if they got hacked, they might, or turned evil. They won't. They're very nice guys. Theoretically, right? People do turn evil. They could push some code that make it possible to steal. So people are kept in their chat profiles, right? So the idea is that they put a proposal into the network nervous system, which runs the internet computer network, which is this permissionless sort of super DAO, if you like. And they say, hey, look, we're the developer of OpenChat, and we would like it to be fully decentralized. And these are the parameters that we propose. And if the network nervous system adopts that proposal, it essentially will create a service nervous system, again, another kind of advanced DAO, and it will then go to the OpenChat service, the smart contracts that create the OpenChat service, and select the master smart contract, right, which runs all the other ones, and change the controller ID to the service system, which allows the service system to update it, and through that, the other smart contracts. And then, according to the parameters suggested by the developers, it will run a decentralization sale. So it will give the developers some of the service nervous system DAO's governance tokens, allocate some for users of the service, and then make some available for sale. And currently, they'll be for sale for ICP. But in the future, they could be for sale for Bitcoin, Ether, whatever, because of this chain key functionality. And obviously, the buyer governance tokens and the proceeds from the sale get held by the service nervous system. So it's not like an ICO. Obviously, those are kind of impossible to do anymore. So the funds don't go to the founders, the developers. The funds actually held within the DAO by the community, straight swap by the some other kind of crypto for governance tokens. Okay, so at this point, and the founders' governance tokens get handicapped, so they have very little voting power, but people will typically configure their what we call voting neurons, right, to follow this, right, because those people don't want to be dealing with a lot of the technical stuff day to day, albeit you have community members who review code changes and so on. So the thing's then fully decentralized. That's step one. You've got, you'll have your Web3 social media service. It's already running completely on the blockchain, no cloud. And now, it's fully controlled DAO, service nervous system DAO. And, you've got hundreds, thousands, or even more, perhaps one day, millions of people, participating in controlling this thing. Now, at this stage, there's, we've already made some great progress, right? Some money put into this DAO, so they can use that money to hire developers as contractors, right, by putting out feature and bug bounties and things like that. So the crowdfunding has enabled the team to level up, if you like, and this could be done from anywhere. And we're seeing, for example, a lot of teams building in China, which is incredibly exciting because they're very, very talented and very, very hardworking. And I'll come back to a particular team I want to mention in a moment. Now, there's another thing you can do once you've adopted this architecture, right? And that is you can fully tokenize the Web3 service to what it would not otherwise do. And I think I mentioned that, in this chat service called OpenChat, you can find it if anyone's interested, oc.app. We'll load it. you'll get a user experience that's served by the smart contracts. It's incredible. All the messages are processed by smart contracts and stored by them. But it is making your user profile a wallet, right? So you're able to send crypto with chat messages. And in the future, it's not just going to be ICP, it's going to be, Bitcoin, ETH, maybe other tokens like Avalanche and Sol and so on. And clearly now, that would be a very dangerous thing to do if the developers controlled the code. Now, don't get me wrong, the guys behind OpenChat are fantastic. Straight up dudes, they're brilliant, right? But you can't have, that's not a good architecture, right? Like for Web3, where people storing their crypto in their social accounts or game accounts or metaverse accounts or whatever. And then the developer has control over the code. Because if they control over the code, they can steal it. So now that, once OpenChat's being assigned to a service nervous system down the community control, and code is being through a review process, now you can really do this kind of tokenization in a much more secure way, right? So there's something else you can do as well. You're now running as a blockchain. You're not running as a centralized service. And bear in mind that, if you're the SEC and various other agencies too, if you see a Web3 service that is 99% running off the cloud, of Amazon Web Services, right? The user experience is coming from Amazon Web Services, and that's where all the data processing storages. The Web3 service is just keeping a few NFTs and tiny clips of data on the blockchain. That's the prevailing model outside of the internet computer ecosystem. If you're a regulator and you're looking at that, you're going to say it's centralized, right? And all kinds of regulations come to that. One, fully decentralize, service and run it in the mode of a protocol. It's like a blockchain, and you can do more interesting things. So on the one hand, it's more secure. Now a service like OpenChat can more freely process crypto, like ICP, Bitcoin, Ether, and so on. ERC20 tokens and NFTs and all the rest. And on the other hand, it can aggressively tokenize in other axes. So for example, I think OpenChat will probably give half the governance tokens away to users. And this is where it gets exciting, because if you can give governance tokens away to the first 5 million active users, right? Help by referring other users, helping with content moderation and things like that. You basically built yourself a huge team at low cost. You've made your users founders, right? And that's the secret. That's Web3 is going to beat Web2 through these kind of network effects, and by co-opting users as founders who then go out and advocate and help with things like content moderation. So you've really made everybody industrious, right? A blockchain is an economy in code, and you've made everyone industrious. Now sudden teams of developers can, really have a shot at building something huge from anywhere in the world. You've democratized access to the tech economy. It doesn't matter where those talented developers are. If they can create, a sort of prototype service on the internet computer blockchain, and they've got a good shot at getting a proposal through to fully decentralize it and having it assigned to a service nervous system DAO. Whereupon now, yet again, finally again, we'll be able to raise funds from the decentralized community, which are kept in the DAO, not given to the founders like DYOR, but that DAO can, contract the founders, and it can also contract anyone else anywhere in the world, through feature bounties and bug bounties and things like that. So we've made, we've made these developers and entrepreneurs who created this service industrious. We've democratized access to the tech economy. We've allowed people to do that from anywhere. But we've also made the users industrious, right? Because we've made the users founders, right? And we've given them governance tokens. And we've allowed them to participate in advocating for the service, bringing in new users with critical tasks, content moderation, or maybe creating content. And in addition to that, we've made them real owners and given them a real say in the services that they spend their time on, right? So we haven't just democratized access to the economy, if you like, and democratized access to tech developers and entrepreneurs. We've done it for users too, who now have real ownership, and they become owners and part of the team. And so everyone wins, and I think online experiences will become much richer. And that, I think, is it really at the heart of what Web3 and world computers all are about.
Amazing, incredible, Dominic, and thank you for working for years to build the right infrastructure, do it the right way, so that from start to finish, creating the network that hosts the applications and creating the applications that allow people to actually be a part of something and actually own their own data and own the applications that they're using is sort of the true essence of decentralization. I really do appreciate the efforts that your team has done. Now, we don't have a lot of time left, but I would love to find out how people can get involved with these applications, how they can learn more, and get involved with the communities.
Well, a great place to start is internetcomputer.org, which is a website that contains a lot of resources. Some of them are quite technical. There's a Discord, a Dfinity Discord server. That's pretty good. A lot of interesting discussion happened there. And just listen to the chatter on social media, such as crypto, Twitter, and find out about a lot of these. And there's a thing called identity. Get yourself an identity anchor. Get yourself an account on some of these incredible, new, fully on-chain Web3 systems and play around. Keep your ears close to the ground, because I think a lot of them are going to fully decentralize soon and run these decentralization sales. One last tip: DeFi, a lot of the functionality that was required for DeFi internet computers really only just coming into production now. And however, that doesn't mean there's no huge amount of DeFi under development. It just works differently. If you're interested to see the future, go to this thing, icdex.io. icdex.io. I think I got that right. Otherwise, you can find it. Team called Lighthouse, and they've produced a continuous double auction exchange. The same kind of exchange as or Poloniex, or dare I say it, FTX, and they've created using contracts. And if you go to that URL, it'll redirect to some strange-looking address that's actually the smart contracts address. This exchange actually being produced by a smart contract, even the user experience that's served into your browser. And it's very new. It's currently in beta, but there's already some activity on it. And what you're going to see is that every sort of crypto asset you can imagine is going to be into a trading pair, right? Because of this chainky crypto capability that the internet computer has, which allows smarts on the internet computer to create signed transactions on other blockchains. And what this, I think, demonstrates the power of what's coming, because you're going to have something that works very much like a traditional exchange, running 100% on-chain, eventually under the DAO. So the updates to its code are completely transparent, which will mean there's just no chance of anyone hiding in the shadows waiting to steal your crypto. So, we talked a lot about Web3, but I think it's worth checking out the DeFi too.
Amazing. And I will leave those dApp links in the description box below, as well as the Internet Computer platform and the social medias that you mentioned there for the communities. So I'll leave that all down below. Thank you so much, Dominic, for taking the time. You're very welcome. And there's so much that we didn't get to cover. I'm excited to touch back in with you guys in a little bit in 2023 to see what else is in stock, because I know that your team has a lot of initiatives on the go. But I really do appreciate the insights today, and let's follow up in the near future.
Definitely.